think offensive football has changed over the past 6 or 7 years. It used to be that you would set a number and gain a bunch of yards, and that automatically meant that you're probably going to be really successful and have a great offensive day and score lots of points. But I think in today's how the game has changed with the pace of play and all of that, yards are easy to get. Not easy to get, but they're coming at a greater rate than maybe they were 5 to 10 years ago. And I think it comes down to points and obviously scoring and how well you limit the other team's possessions and opportunities when it gets to red zone. Red zone defense is so critical. I mean, getting 3 points or none rather than giving up 7. I think those are huge statistical areas. But explosive plays and how it pertains to, if they're producing points, I mean, that's, it's getting harder and harder to sustain drives and score points with it. And I guess that's my point. So anytime you can get an explosive play that results in a touchdown, it's a major thing. I don't know if we can consistently live, or anybody can consistently live in 12, 13, 14 play drives. You want to be able to, take advantage of your one-on-one matchups. You hope you have guys on the perimeter or a running back or a tight end that can go win their one-on-one battle and create those type of plays. So we've been blessed with great receivers here over the years. We've been blessed with great running backs and good solid quarterback play. Hopefully that continues again this year.
How easy, I've asked you about the defense a lot lately or whatever, but how is this like the least you find yourself like wondering, like you kind of know, like, they've got everything okay over there, like you're not, like, I don't know, in 18-19 it seems like you may have been a little stressed and had sleepless nights thinking about the defense.
Well, in 18 and 19 we played 5 freshmen on defense, and we knew that was going to be, there was going to be some issues there. And, it was coaching staff had to make a decision on whether we were going to be very multiple and try to confuse the offense, which we knew would limit to some severe mistakes on our end on defense. So we became a very vanilla defense in 18 and 19, and what we found is you can't just sit there and play the same coverage and the same thing over and over, because people figure it out. And not to say that you're trying to outscore people, but you thought that that would be this recipe to go win football games. And then when we made the staff changes leading into last year, it all kind of pieced together. And then Vince and Craig Kuligowski did a great job of instilling a belief system that we could play great defense and have championship caliber play, game in and game out. And then I thought our players did a good job of taking that message, rallying the guys on that side to really doing the little things necessary to allow that to happen. And now you look back and almost everybody in the 2 deep on defense is back. There's lots of reasons to feel optimistic on what they can be this year, coupled with the fact that those freshmen and sophomores that we were talking now are all veteran players.
So defense is interesting nowadays, I think, because offense has exploded in football at all levels, all 3, high school, college, and pro. So I don't know, how difficult is it to define like what a good defense is now in this present, pass happy era? Just answer that first.
I think it still comes down to winning the line of scrimmage and how well you can stop the run. I think I would point to rushing defense and red zone scoring defense as 2 major categories for me. And I think you could flip that coin to the other side and say, hey, if you can run the ball really effectively and you can get 7 rather than 3 in the red zone, you're going to have a successful season. There's other things that go into that and lots of factors that we've been very good the last 2 years, really, on third down defense. And, that's limiting possessions or taking that extra possession out of a half or both halves. If you can pull 2 or 3 of them away of a game because you can play really good third down defense, I think that's a major critical thing. That's a critical thing too. So if you can be good in all 3 of those areas, you're probably going to have a pretty good team.
And then, even with offensive scoring in bunches, you can't understate how important defense still is in terms of winning championships. And you go back to 2017, that defense was a big part of why you guys won the MAC.
Huge part, and you take out the non-conference piece of it and a bunch of yards given up on a couple busted plays to Miami, Florida. Really, that's a good defensive team all the way through the year. The number would escape me directly, but I believe it was in the low 20s in points per game through our conference, through that 9 conference games, counting the championship game. So, and really the championship game that year against Akron, the game's out of hand, and we gave up some cheap ones at the end that maybe skewed those stats even more. So, playing good defense in our conference, you're going to play on nights, days, midweeks, like you're going to play all over the place at different times. The weather is not good in Northeast or Northwest Ohio, any part of the state of Michigan or Illinois or Buffalo, New York in that time of the year. So you're going to have to be able to, as cool as the offensive things are and as exploded through college football, as you said, you still have to be able to, when it gets hard, you're going to have to run the football and you're going to have to play stout defense.
One question I had, if I could circle back to about 3 or 4 ago, you said that it's really hard to sustain drives. Are you developing more packages so that the players are out there in a certain place and kind of keep those drives going to get to 7 instead of 3, or are you just trying to do a quick strike?
No, I mean, I think you're obviously always, different things or different times of games. Your approach can change, but I think you want to be efficient in both settings. You don't want to. Can't rely on a big play consistently all the time. You can't rely on, hey, we're just better than everybody else, that we can consistently put together 12 and 13, 14 play drives. You want to be intentional and you want to be smart about when you take your shots, and then when you have the opportunity to take your shots, you got to hit them.
Defensively, do you see anything swinging back for the defenses? I mean, it's so heavily tilted toward the offense right now. Do you see any rule changes or anything coming, or think everybody's happy just to watch points being put on the board?
Well, I think whether it's, I'm a big baseball fan. I like excitement. I don't want to sit and watch a 5-hour baseball game that's 1-0. And sometimes I do and appreciate that. Other times that, that's gets methodical. So I think the fans, you want to put a good product out there and for people to be excited about college football and to can really go to a game and really appreciate it. And a lot of things go into that. And I think not to say that scoring a bunch of points is better than a 6-3 game. That's not my point. But I also believe that I think what sells is going to carry the weight. I think a little bit sometimes on when it comes to rule changes and things like that.
Part of that comes down to matchups too. I think what maybe the casual fan maybe sees what you do one game and expects you to do it week after week after week. This just in, the opposition's getting paid good money to come up with a good game plan of their own.
Yeah.
When you talk to the scout, or even in game, I think we've talked a little bit about this. You've got plays that you think will work, but then 1 leads to 2, maybe 2 leads to 3. The 3 doesn't lead to 4. It's a matchup.